is that I'm going to play you all the tracks in full from the album and interject that with my comments, and I'll tell you about whatever I can remember about making them and whatever I think might be interesting, and you can ask me and I'll give you the answers. And as the music goes through, I will attempt to type in my answers as well to the questions so that we get as many going as possible. But you know, I'm going a bit blind these days and the fingers are a bit sort of banana shaped, so my typing might be a bit slow, but we'll do as much as we can. What else? I've got my notes down here, things to show you, so as we get going we'll deal with all of that. I want to say a quick thank you to Labels in France who have organised this thing, along with Mute in the UK, and also Michael LeVay, who's running the Shunt website, is on hand in America. So it truly is a global thing, hopefully, and it's great to see so many people that have subscribed and are already sending in questions, as I can see here. So we'll get going with some music. The first track is called Pray. It features one of the two collaborators on the album, Joe Richardson. Joe is very important. He contributes to 5 of the tracks, and he's a brilliant blues singer. And a lot of you will know a bit about this already, but for those that don't, you know, I sort of Google searched for Joe and got him to contribute to 5 tracks on the album, and we went over to Texas to record with him. So I'll tell you more about that recording a bit later on. But for now, here's Pray. Okay, very civilised questions coming through there as we listen to that. Abuse won't be tolerated anyway, unless it's directed to those that really deserve it. A few people asked me during that about sort of basically how I construct the music, and just typically what would normally happen is that, to elaborate on what I said there, is that I'd start putting together loops and samples and creating this sort of sound bed, but with no song in place, and therefore I'm kind of searching for a direction, and really I'm just reacting to a series of experiments until something hits me that I really like. At that point I then go and search for singers that I think will suit the particular direction of the music. They listen to my basic tracks, they write something, in this case Joe, and then we went to Texas. We recorded with him and his band, on top of all the sounds that I'd put together. So at that point, yes, I've finally got a song, and for me that's quite an exciting moment, because I can then have much more focus, you know, to how I'm going to complete the whole thing. And in this case, you know, we had all of my stuff, all of Joe's band playing along on top, plus various different vocal takes of him, and I had to take it all home from Texas and put it into the computer and sort of make sense of everything. So it's very much a long process, and can be quite frustrating, in fact, for me, until that song is actually in place. Anyway, I can talk a bit more about that later on if you like. And as I said, you know, the trip to Texas was quite interesting, and probably the most exciting part of making this record. But I'll come back to that. We'll move on and have a listen to track 2, which is called Hallelujah. This features Carla Trebasquis, who sings on 2 tracks on this album, and she came quite late to the project. Really, I was thinking about her, or someone like her, after we'd recorded with Joe. I very much was looking for a voice that would offset what he'd done and give, you know, this kind of sonic relief to everything and create a real dynamic of sound change throughout the album. So after a lot of searching, it wasn't so easy to come up with a girl singer this time, but a lot of searching went on, and eventually a friend at Mute Records recommended her to me, and she came along. We recorded at my studio, Thin Line. And initially on this track she came up with a whole set of lyrics that eventually we whittled down and reduced. In fact, we ended up with just one word, and the rest of it is kind of just sound. And somehow that just seemed to work with this track that I had going for a long time that didn't have very much of a blues feel to it, not like most of the others. So I knew I wanted to do something with it. I knew I wanted a girl's voice, and we whittled it down until she'd really come up with just melodies and sounds. And that just seemed to work best. So that's what we did, and I can tell you a bit more afterwards. This is Hallelujah. Okay, welcome back. I think we're having some technical problems. You've probably noticed that the chat questions aren't coming through at the moment. Apparently there's a lot of people have logged on, and it's quite possible that, you know, there's a bottleneck going on. Usual thing, but this is what you get with technology, isn't it? We're not going to get too hung up about it. That's the way it goes. Sorry. But hopefully we'll get it back working again soon. And in the meantime, I shall just chat to you like this. So that was Hallelujah. The next track is called 5,000 Years. For me, it's quite a pivotal track on the album, because it came the other way round, as it were, which is not normal for me. In other words, the song was presented to me first by Joe when we went to Texas, and he played it through together with John Wolfe, who's the bass player, and Richard Lamb, the drummer. They played the track through to me and said, "Look, you can have this," and it was gratefully received, because I think it's great. And so they did a sort of basic guitar, bass and drums version of the track, and I took it home. And as I was explaining earlier, the frustration of not having a focus of the song was alleviated in this case, and I was able to know really immediately what I wanted to do with it. You know, the subject matter is all about sort of conflict, really, in the name of religion, and how we haven't really learnt everything in the last 5,000 years. And for me, it was kind of obvious how to go about my particular treatment of that. And so I wanted to add all these different sounds, like the helicopters and the rhetoric, voice samples that appear at the end. A lot of sound effects, really, to try and enhance the sort of space of the thing and really set the picture for what the song is all about. It's also the track that started me thinking about this whole subhuman concept, and how it seems to be, even though it's not a new idea, of course, it seems to be very relevant to what's happening in the world today, all the things that have happened over the last 5 years since I last made a record. They have a deep, profound effect on you, and I think most people are quite fed up with what's going on around the world. So, you know, this song in particular started me thinking about subhuman and subordination, and how really it's still very much around. And despite the fact that we have such great communication in the world today, it seems that people are moving further and further apart on a cultural level. Anyway, have a listen to this, and I'll tell you a bit more later on, and hopefully we'll get that chat going.